Okay, last up we have Nick Shao, who is the CEO of Green Charge Networks.
Thanks, Greg. Okay, it's always fun to go last. Well, thanks for the invitation to speak today, and it's really a privilege to be here. So Green Charge Networks, a little bit about us, who we are. We're a Santa Clara-based company, and we've been around for 4 years. We do behind-the-meter distributed energy storage systems, and we sell to commercial industrial customer base. We have 20 installations coming up in the next 4 months. So we are hiring like we couldn't keep up with the demand really, and we have a number of large profile customers that we're installing over the next several months, and some of them are repeat customers as well. So here is how we looked at the market going into this 4 years ago. We thought to ourselves, well, any commodity you can think of, there is a storage mechanism for it. Water towers, right? Food, your refrigerator, your home, and money, data. There's a storage mechanism for all of these things except for energy. I mean, energy, for the most part today, is still produced and consumed right on the spot, right? You can't really store this stuff. And the problem that it creates is something that I'll explain through a low duration curve from Con Edison. So you can tell I'm an engineer at heart by explaining problems with low duration curves. So this is a low duration curve from Con Edison back in 2011. So Con Edison of New York, they hit a all-time demand record of 13.2 gigawatts in the summer of 2011. But if you analyze, the distribution grid and how much time was spent at each hour, it's something like 7 hours was above 13 gigawatts. 36 hours was above 12 gigawatts. Out of 8,760 hours in a year, right? So the actual amount of time that the distribution grid experiences those spikes is very little. But nonetheless, Con Edison, a utility, has to spend a lot of money to upgrade the distribution grid to make sure that it can handle that throughput. So Con Edison's annual budget is something like $2 billion to do the O&M on the grid, and they also have a construction budget of also on par, $2 billion, and a lot of that money is going towards handling peak demand. So that cost is getting passed down somehow, right, to the customers. So for a commercial industrial customers, their bill is split between energy and demand. And for the most part, the demand is just like Andy was pointing out. The demand portion of their bill is going up, whereas actually, as it turns out, for PG&E, for Southern Cal Edison, San Diego Gas and Electric, cents per kilowatt hour has been trending downwards at about 4% a year for the past decade, whereas dollar per kilowatt has been going up at 7% a year for the past decade. And this is information that you could pull off yourself from just going through the tariff books from the different utilities. And so more and more, if you look at the pie chart, for commercial industrial customers, more and more over time, the portion of their bill is demand charges. And a lot of our customers, half of their demand charges and half of their bill in the summer months are demand charges. So this is just one of our customers, what their bill looks like. I apologize, you probably can't see the fine print, but for this customers, literally 75% of their summer bill was demand charges. So it's a real and acute problem. Now here's what we have done about it. So I'm going to show you a number of slides of just previous installations that we have done, as well as installations to come. So going back to 2012, we have had a system running for 2+ years. Integrate with solar. So just to explain the graph a little bit, The red is what the utility meter would have seen. The blue is how we're artificially manipulating the load profile over the course of a month. The horizontal axis here is a month. The green is our energy storage system charging and discharging, and the orange is a little solar system that we have installed at this facility. This happens to be a 7-Eleven location in New York City. So there's a solar system on the roof there, energy storage, and there's also a couple of level 2 EV chargers at this site as well. In other systems that we deployed, we integrated a DC fast charger into the meter. Now, DC fast chargers, for those that are not familiar, it's a 30 kilowatt appliance. So for this little 7-Eleven, their average load is 30 kilowatt. So, this DC fast charger, this single appliance almost doubled their peak load. So same thing here. If you look at the chart, the red is what the meter would have measured. The blue is how we are manipulating the load profile. And you can see that every time the yellow spikes, the yellow is DC fast charger, then you see the red kind of following on and hitting a peak for that facility. You also see how we're doing the blue. This is, by the way, captured from a couple of months ago. You see that square wave pattern there? As it turns out, the utility charges the customer a different rate, dollar per kilowatt wise, at different times of the day. So the horizontal axis here is a week and a time. And the reason why we do the square wave thing is because our software is trying to make the battery pack as small as possible, maximum economic gains using a battery that's sized appropriately. Batteries is what costs money, right? Software doesn't. So by artificially manipulating the set points that we're trying to hit at different times of the day, that's how we can maximize the economic returns with a given size battery. So fast forward to some of our recent installations. This is a couple of projects that we did recently at the city of Redwood City. The picture on the left there is from a parking garage. The picture on the right is at the Redwood City Library, so it's not too far from here. It's 20 miles out of 101. It's also installations with DC fast chargers. So, and by the way, on a lot of these situations, we partner with ChargePoint, with NRG to do their DC fast charging deployments. In a lot of these cases, they could not have installed one of these devices without an energy storage system because the host customer said, you're gonna kill me on demand charges. I don't even want this stuff. And so the energy storage system then enable the fast charging deployment. Just some of the projects that we have coming up over the course of the next several months, and the use cases that they're aiming for. Shore Hotel down in Santa Monica. It's right on the pier. It's right on Santa Monica Pier. They are currently a LEED Gold certified building, and they want to go for Platinum. And energy storage is going to help them achieve that. Museum of Art and History down in Lancaster, California. They are probably going to be the first city in the country to go net zero. So their consumption and they're going to locally produce everything that they consume. Being a net zero footprint city. So energy storage obviously is going to play a big role in their aims. And we're going to deploy an energy storage system down there over the course of the next 2 months. UPS, this is going to be our largest behind meter installation in New York. 300 kilowatt hours. And so the application there is just pure and simple demand charge reduction. By the way, across all of these systems that we have deployed on a pure cash basis, the payback is less than 5 years. So it's really good, and it's an easy sell. And finally, Walgreens, we did the installation already this past month. We are going through interconnection right now at a Walgreens facilities in Yonkers, New York. And I appreciate what Andy mentioned about interconnection. Surprisingly enough, though, our experience with interconnection in California really has not been all that bad. I mean, compared to what we went through in New York, which was an absolute bear. Hopefully there isn't anybody from New York here in Scram. But we said to ourselves, if we can get through New York, Con Edison interconnection, everything else is much easier, and it has in fact been the case. So anyway, this is the wave coming. I mean, this is where all of us here in this room are going to look back 10 years from now and say to each other, well, of course we have an energy storage system, don't you? At our facility, it's not going to. It's very much so like solar. I mean, I've heard a lot of people tell me that this industry is like solar from 8 years ago, from 10 years ago, and that's really the case. We're just at the beginning of a wave. But the point is, energy storage is economic today. We're selling it today, and we're getting massive amounts of adoption. It works best for facilities with spiky loads and in large appliances like EV chargers. So the C&I market, retail, municipal, cities they're all taking notice of the movement. And I think ultimately it's really good for the entire value chain from utilities on down. I mean, what we're really doing here is increasing the utilization and efficiency of the entire grid and using assets, cables and transformers that's in the ground today. So I think ultimately it is good for everybody. Thank you. Any questions?
On your slides, all cases maybe a small one systems. I can see only one leg. Also installed on 7-Eleven store or the city hall. So it means that the peak demand are smaller than office buildings. So in office buildings, if they want to install your systems, is it economical?
Absolutely. In fact, the largest system that we're going to be installing over the next 2 quarters is 0.5 megawatt. And what we do in that case is put a bunch of the 30 kilowatt modules together and put them all together into, so each one of those are modules that could be combined into a much larger system.
We have one question over here.
Yes, please.
Hi. You mentioned about the battery, but I wonder what kind of technology is actually you're using for making this kind of batteries?
Lithium-ion.
Okay, so normal. Right. And then have you done any case studies on the lifetime of those batteries?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, we have 2.5 years of operating data on these systems, having them installed for more than 2.5 years. And we have been capturing all the data on a second-by-second basis, so we could see exactly what goes on down to the very finite details. And we have shared those results with the battery manufacturers. And as a result, we have been, we've had a lot of success working with large battery, lithium-ion battery vendors, because we have data to prove, this is exactly what we're using their battery packs for. And so the short answer to your question is, yeah, absolutely. We have a lot of data, operating data and usage and life cycle data.
Thank you.
One more question over here.
Hi, Vic. My name's Shane with Bosch Energy Storage, and you showed the square wave on was it the Walgreens?
Yeah, I think that was a 7-Eleven.
Or 7-Eleven. Just curious about how you operated those controls, if those were manual, programmed, or operating on the fly. How that works.
Yeah, that's the software algorithm that we have been perfecting over the last 4 years of our existence. So I sort of liken it to stock trading. You know, it's really easy at the end of the trading day to say, all right, I should have bought it in the morning when the price is low, so in the afternoon when the price is high. But in real time, on a second-by-second basis, we're charging and discharging with imperfect information. Right? We don't know where the building loads are going to go next. So yeah, I mean, it's a stochastic algorithm, predictive algorithm that we have been fine-tuning for the past 4 years.
All right, well, I think we have to cut off the questions, but I'd like us to take a moment to thank all of our speakers.
Thank you.